Alright, hey everybody. I decided to make one more final video for today. So, if I were to take his bishop, he could unstack his pawns. So, I don't think I'm going to do that. I do like that angle though, that diagonal I should say, since it does target a dark square right ahead of his king. Alright, now we can take that strong center. This is the Caro-Kann. I called it the Pierce in the previous video. It's the Caro-Kann, and it does work like the Pierce in taking a strong center late into the opening. White center is a little stronger, but my pawn push can deflect his bishop at c4. Alright, now we have a very traditional 4 knights defense. It's going to be an exciting game. I haven't played this in a long time. Alright, now I'm going to try to get his knight to move, and I'd have a checkmate by playing queen takes bishop at, what is this, at g2. Alright, not happy with the stacked pawns on the d file. I'm going to play this a little non-traditionally. This will likely end in a draw. Let's see, what's my rating? It's unfortunate my rating is higher than his. You know what? I'm going to have to close that down again. Alright, my opponent's using the French defense. Usually white responds by taking a strong center by playing pawn to d4. So we have pawn to d4, or pawn at d4, and we have a pawn at e4 was my opening move. I'll show you a likely aggression. So that's usually what black does. This is the advance, the French defense advance variation. Normally you'll see things like this, but I don't really prefer the advance. I usually play knight to c3. Alright, I'm happy with that. Not entirely, because I lost the bishop, but I'd rather that than having him unstack his pawns. Alright, so we successfully deflect the bishop. Now there is a fork opportunity. I can play pawn takes d4. Pawn takes e4. The only thing is I need to support that, so the fork is effective. here. Alright. So here's what I'm going to do. Right? So we play knight to g7. Just for the sake of making a move. Let's say he plays bishop to c4. Is that c4? Yeah. No, I'm sorry. That's bishop to f4. Now I want my knight here. He would most likely deflect. But let's say he doesn't. So now I have the fork, and it's supported by the knight. I'm going to give check, fork his bishop and the king. I will take the bishop. Alright, so this is the Philidor defense, named after the Grandmaster. I forget his first name. Philidor. That might be his first. They're normally the last names. So I play bishop to c4. Now if he plays, I'm sorry, bishop to, bishop to c4. Now if he plays knight to c6, I'll play knight to c3. If he plays bishop to g4, I deflect by playing pawn to h3. If he falls back and plays bishop to h5, I can then try for Legau's trap by playing knight takes e5. If he takes the queen, I have a checkmate forced in 2. Alright, now we start to see fianchettoing occurring. Now, I don't want to exchange rooks. I want him to move his rook. So I can play rook takes c7 check. Oh no, I can't do that. Excuse me. I was looking at the wrong... It's a light squared bishop. Alright. Okay. Alright, I see what he's intending here. He wants to play knight takes h2 check, pulling my king to g1. Then he could take my knight at e2, but I could simply take his knight at h2, but then he could take my rook at e1 and win both rooks. So, that'll defend the rooks. Very nice fork on his part. Got to give him credit for that. And it is hot outside. It's 80 degrees. Yeah, it's now 55. That was 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay, it's 72 degrees. It's certainly 80 degrees when you're not in the shade and you're in the direct sunlight. Alright, this should win the bishop. If he decides to move the bishop, I can just play rook takes e1, and the king can't capture back because of my rook at e8. I can't play that. I'm going to play pawn to g3. My buddy Frank would love to get it back rank mate. As long as my rook stays at a1, it's okay. But I have a plan hatching. I'm sure he'll see it. He's a strong player. Let me just see if there's anything else I could do. I'm going to play that. Good, I haven't played against a Sicilian in a while. It's my preferred defense for black. Here, I'll play it in this game. Okay, so that was one way of stopping the checkmate. I thought I had him for sure. It's just a matter of a few more moves, though. Nice strong diagonals here with my dark squared and light squared bishop working in a combinatorial team-like fashion. I'm gonna start more games. Alright. See you guys maybe later, but most likely tomorrow.